So, have you guys met Noel Gallagher?
No, we have not yet.
No. Would
Looking
you
f-
consider him one of your musical icons?
I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I think it's weird once you start touring and you meet people because once again you'll hear me use the word human a million times. Like when we did Jules Holland in the UK and we met Robert Plant, who Zeppelin is Vince's favorite band of all time.
Love it.
That's crazy.
And like he just came up and he'd like, I love your band, and he said, he complimented my voice and kind of like went to like shake my hand and congratulate me, and like I just hugged them, and he like kind of laughed and hugged, and we talked about singing, and like it made me realize like this dude could have been the biggest dick ever, and I would have like been okay with it. Like, yeah, it's Robert Plant, he's an asshole, but he wasn't. He was the nicest, most humble person. And we've had a few like Johnny Marr. We've met him. Johnny Marr makes you just want to be a better person. We've had bad experiences too with other people that we don't need to name, but like
No, name them.
Morrissey,
Other people from the Smiths.
other
Other
people from
people
the
from
Smiths
the
that we don't need to name.
Smiths.
That we went on tour and it was like a bad experience. And like we went on tour with the Walkmen, Airborne Tox Event, Kings of Leon, and like we've also headlined our own things where we've had in the UK where we've had openers. We've kind of learned by example from people that we've met, like how we want to treat people and how we don't want to treat people, and like so once you get to that thing and everyone's kind of the same, it comes back to that kind of universal thing where I think it's for everyone. Music's for everyone. I mean,
Even though you have a reputation for being arrogant, and you're not really that arrogant from
no,
what
I
I'm
come
gathering.
off arrogant
Because you're assured of yourself?
I'm blunt, and I kind of like coming off arrogant. I think it's funny. Like we were reading reviews on iTunes for our album that came out today, and there's this review of me supposedly spitting on someone and trying to start a fight in New York. And like if you're there in the context of that, it was like a funny moment
Well,
of
you
me
also
being.
said at the beginning of the interview, if you're not getting into a fight, you're not doing it right.
But I say stuff like that, like like more of like I don't know, getting into trouble. But even trouble is not like something necessarily illegal or rough or. I mean, it's probably illegal, but it's not necessarily rough or breaking stuff. It probably will break stuff and be rough, but it's not necessarily.
Not that I do it, but I did it last night.
It's just one of those things. It's more of a mentality of like being blunt and being who you are without apologizing.
Right.
And I think sometimes the fact that you're not willing to apologize for something comes off as being an asshole, when really it's not really our intent.
Right. Kind of like Noel Gallagher, who you're touring with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a dude that's like pretty much fucking stuck to his guns, done what he's wanted, said what he's wanted, and he's considered, especially like if you're from Manchester, from the UK, they call him the chief of rock and roll. I mean, like, he's like one of the dudes, and like not just successful, but like his integrity is still considered like a real thing, know. And even as opposed to, not to bring in the brotherly thing, but even like with his brother, maybe hasn't done it as well with the same type of grace that he did. It's like I think a lot of times how you do it.
Right.
And we're new to it, and I've said things I shouldn't have, and I've done things that I shouldn't have, but fuck it. Like your fans are gonna see your music and see your heart and see what you're trying to do, and they'll stick with you. And you got to give people room to fail and room to grow. And but yeah, he's a musical icon.
Next question. Just go full Kanye West with it.
Who I respect.
This shit is dope.
Yeah.
I do respect. Like there's certain people that people will bring up certain topics and think that because of the way we talk about things that we're over here on stuff, and a lot of times we'll throw curveballs at you. I mean, we're not even really that rock and roll when it comes to like what we listen to. We're all over the place. You know what I mean?
So
like,
name some examples of what you guys listen to.
I mean, I've been listening to the most recent Houses album a lot, like with like Soak It Up and like a lot of like the electronic, like it's very mellow, ambient. Like last year, the Beach House album,
Right.
like stuff like that. I get very, very vibey and stuff. Tallest Man on Earth,
Chill
like,
wave. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, like to me, I think he's like a Dylan-esque, very like beautiful lyrics and stuff like that. It's yeah. There's just stuff where it's like, and we do listen to a lot of rock and roll and a lot of modern whatever, but like that's technically in our genre. But we also like, Vince listens to a lot of like Leon Russell, a lot of old stuff. My favorite of all time is actually Bob Dylan, but I listen to a lot of like Frankie Valli, Roy Orbison, old stuff. But
we actually had Phil Collins Day the other day.
You had Phil Collins Day?
Yeah, just played Phil Collins hits.
So what is Phil Collins Day?
You listen to
The only thing we listen to is
hits
Phil
all-
Collins.
From first album to last?
Yeah,
everything.
pretty
It doesn't
much.
matter what order you
Everything.
go into. And then sometimes you listen to old like cheesy stuff. Like we heard a song like Billy Idol the other day in a restaurant, Eyes Without a Face,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that song's really cheesy. But then we heard other stuff like, this is sweet. It's like taking music out of the context that it was like released in, and taking this is actually a good melody, this is actually a good tone, and like we do that with a lot of stuff. We'll put it on a cheesy dance pop station when we're traveling and just listen to
To the Biebs.
Yeah, just have fun. Like, I'm not gonna say his name, but we went through iTunes and plugged it into the like stereo, and just sampled like a lot of new stuff. And some of the stuff that we were rocking out to is embarrassing.
We were rocking out so hard, I got pulled over.
Oh.
They actually did get pulled over. It's about the love of music and like all types of it. You know, we're not here to try to like make a splash and cash in and cash out. Like, we want to do music for a long time, and I think you have to appreciate not only what society you're in, but the context and the timing of things. And to do that, you kind of have to have your ear to the ground and hear what's coming and what's going, and be honest with yourself. And
Is that why? Because I read you like to freestyle when you write your songs.
yeah, well, musically, like Vince and I grew up in Pentecostal church where you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You literally just played what you felt and like what key are you in. It was very much like feel it, let the spirit flow, like very vibey, almost like
Chill wave.
like what most people would call like almost new agey, like
Yeah.
feel it, now follow it, and like, but like you would just play and like, and people would just get into it, and you would just respond to like the rhythm and the music, and it's like very like emotional. Like, it was all there was nothing cerebral about the music. It's all just emotional. If you can feel it, and it was like, that's how you could tell it was genuine, is because it was like, wow, that's intense, or that's loud, or that's, I can dance to that. And so when we have a little bit of that when we write musically, but once we get the music down, everyone kind of just, when we're doing the music, everyone's kind of just trying this riff, let's try this riff, and it's just constantly, we don't stop a lot of times. There's not like okay, let's try that again. There's like a keep playing and let it happen type thing. And,
Right.
and if you were in we don't really have writing sessions, but if you were, what we do, you would call it like, it would sound like shit most of the time, because it's just chaos. And then at the end of it, we go like, yeah, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that, I like that. Let's put this, and then you do it, and then we'll play it again. It's like, it turns, it slowly evolves. But lyrically, and these guys have all like sat with me at different times and push record. I mean, it's gibberish. I close my eyes and I come up with a melody, and most of the time I don't even say real words until later, and then you get a melody, and then you kind of go, okay, what are we talking about? It's all very much about like the feeling of what's going
Right.
on. Like, I never write lyrics beforehand and fit them into music. I hate that. I hate when I listen to a song and I go, these lyrics were definitely written, and they shoved them into this music. Like, we always want the music to kind of speak, and then the lyrics kind of like be the same personality. So it's a one thing.